Royal Irish Rangers at St Patrick's Barracks, Ballymena. We go over now to Brian Walker at Ballymena, where the ceremony is about to begin.
And welcome from St Patrick's Barracks, Ballymena, the home depot of the Royal Irish Rangers. At the moment, the markers and pikemen that we can see along the parade ground have taken up their positions to mark the edges of the parade. And we've had a short fanfare from the bugles of the 5th Battalion, the volunteer battalion of the Rangers, who today are to receive their new colours and have them trooped. Now, in just a few moments, we will have another fanfare of regimental calls. And then we will have the arrivals of the top brass. First, the General Officer Commanding, then the Colonel of the Regiment, Major General Bala Breeden, and then finally Her Royal Highness Princess Alice, Duchess of Gloucester. So the fanfare is over, and in just a few moments this parade ground, which is now so empty with the exception of the markers and pointsmen and the band there at the far end of the parade ground, we have the pipe band of the 5th Battalion, the volunteer battalion, wearing the uniform of the Royal Irish Rangers, the traditional green and the saffron kilts, and we'll be hearing quite a lot from them in just a moment. But the parade ground is almost empty with the exception of the musicians, and in just a moment the parade of the TA men themselves will begin. They'll come in there from the far end of the parade ground at the back of the picture. Now, the battalion which is to receive its colours today was formed just 10 years ago. And they're receiving their regimental and Queen's colours. That's 2 flags, really. They have, in the meantime, been doing with flags of one of the predecessor regiments of the Royal Irish Rangers, but today they're to receive their colours. And it's a big day, of course, for the families of the members of the Territorial Army, who themselves are dressed overall. There's a lot of finery here today. And round the back of the audience, we see the parade itself, which is about to come on parade. They'll be going round the back of the parade ground now, and we will see them in just a few moments. And we can hear the strains then of the silver band, which will be leading the parade in, the silver band of the Territorial Army staff. And they will be amalgamating with the band of the battalion itself, producing a stirring sound of pipes, drums and silver bands. Now, if you're in Belfast or in many other parts of the province, you will have had a very fine morning, but here in Ballymena it's been misty. Misty, that is, until just a few moments ago, literally. The mists are clearing and it's a sunny day, and it's a fine morning in the end. to watch a parade. And here they are. 4 different guards of a battalion of 450 men marching on parade to the tune of the South Down Militia. That was the regimental march of the old Royal Ulster Rifles, one of the regiments that preceded the Royal Irish Rangers. There's the regimental mascot, Brian Boru III. He's just had a small operation for the removal of a splinter from his leg, but he looks in fine fettle this morning. And there, for the first time, we see the colours that are going to be presented and consecrated. At the moment, they are still cased, to use the technical term. They are still furled and concealed. And they're carried at this stage by sergeants. Once they're presented, they'll be carried by officers. And as you can see, they're pretty fine colours. They're highly ornamental, and they have been made by the Royal School of Needlework in London. But we'll be seeing plenty of them in just a moment. And now, for the first time, we see the basic shape of the parade. They are arranged in 4 separate guards of 43 officers and men each, and Her Royal Highness Princess Alice will inspect each in turn.
Guards in open order! Inward! Dress!
Well, we're awaiting now the arrival of the General Officer Commanding, Lieutenant General Sir Richard Lawson. He will be moving onto the parade ground in just a few moments, and he'll get a general salute.
Parade! On! Back! Guard order! Up! Guard stand at 8! Stand eating!
Now, these men whom we see on parade today have no security role in Northern Ireland. The role of the Territorial Army is very much tied to NATO commitments. They attend a couple of camps a year, and quite often they go to Germany. In fact, the sister battalion, the 4th Battalion, has just come back from Germany. Now, their role is very much to supplement the regular army in NATO and in Germany, because it's the view of the government that conventional forces must be beefed up to meet a possible threat from the Russians should they decide to sweep across the North German plain. At the moment, in the present situation, they're, I suppose, rather unsung, but in fact their numbers have increased considerably in the last 5 years, and in a recent defence review of a few months ago, their complement is actually to be increased further too. And for the first time, the 2 bands mass together. At the moment, the pipes and drums merging with the silver. 1 massed band. A very fine sound they make too. as you'll hear later in the morning.
Guard! Guard! Shut! Guard! Shoulder! Out!
And now the colonel of the battalion, Colonel Arthur Reed, arrives in the center of the parade ground to take command from his second in command. Colonel Arthur Reed. A big day for him. He's been rehearsing his men for a good 10 days now. They've got spanking new swords here, and these swords have been presented by the district councils from which the Rangers Battalion has been recruited: Craigavon, Armagh, Lisburn and North Down. And in just a few moments we will have the arrival of General Lawson.
And east!
Military parades, of course, go with great precision and time-honored ritual. And every march along a parade ground, every order has its place in tradition and its own purpose.
Ranger! Ranger! Shut! Elder! Out!
And it's been quite a feat for these men to get into the frame of mind and up to the required standard for a parade, which is basically the same in essence as what we see in Horse Guards Parade in the Queen's official birthday, with the trooping of the colour every year. They don't get anything like the same amount of practice as, of course, a Guards regiment, but I think you'll find that they'll put up a very good show this morning. At the rehearsal on Monday, they certainly were very impressive. And here at last, the GOC, Lieutenant General Sir Richard Lawson, General Officer commanding Northern Ireland, and he will receive a general salute, and the guests, as requested, rise to their feet. General Lawson, seen in a very fine dress uniform that we don't normally see him in. He's usually dressed in something considerably more functional. This is, of course, a grand, formal military occasion.
Reason!
General salute.
Ranger!
General salute for General Lawson. GOC Northern Ireland since January last year, in succession to General Sir Timothy Creasy.
East!
He was known as a swagger stick major for his part in rescuing the only survivor of a massacre of Belgian priests during the Congo emergency 20 years ago. He went in unarmed and managed to get the survivor out, and he then went on to rescue some nuns. He's not a very talkative general officer commanding in public. Perhaps his most notable speech referred to the children of the Troubles as a lost generation. But here very much in his formal military role, rather than his practical and rather more onerous one back in headquarters Lisburn.